How's it going? So this video is going to be on harvesting some wild venison for our Christmas barbecue, which is in about 4 days. So yeah, hopefully we can shoot a deer today and then we can hang it for 4 days, and then when we have our barbecue, that meat's going to be nice and tender. Going to have some beautiful succulent steaks to eat. So yeah, the area that we're hunting is a nice handy patch of bush, beautiful little area. There's some quite thick bush in here. Most of it's sort of succession forest. It's regenerating and it's quite thick to walk through. It's very noisy. There's lots of crunchy leaves and lots of vegetation to push through, which make a lot of noise when you push past them. So it's not an easy place to bush stalk. There's a lot of slips in here, but the slips don't have feet on them. They're not grassy, they're just clay, so they're not going to hold animals on them, but we might be able to see animals walking across them when they're moving. And yeah, it's midday at the moment, so the deer probably won't be moving a lot. So my plan for the afternoon is just to sneak around slowly. We're going to do a lot of sitting and listening because the bush is noisy to walk through. If the deer are walking through it, we should be able to hear them. And also just watching slip faces. It's a pretty hot day today, so I'm going to be looking at the shady parts of the slips, because I don't think the deer will be hanging out in the sun too much. So yeah, sweet as, we'll see how we go. Right, so I've only been sitting here for about 2 minutes and I can hear a deer crashing around on the other side there. I'm not 100% whether... Oh yeah, it's a deer, I can see it. I'm going to get the zoom camera out. Okay, so I just switched lenses on the camera so that we could zoom in on the deer. It looks like a spiker or a young stag, but while I was changing the lenses he walked right across the slip. So he's gone back out of sight now, back into the bush, which is a bugger. So I've been sitting here for about an hour since we saw that deer. Haven't seen it, haven't heard anything. So I can only assume that it's gone further around the face, further around the corner and out of sight and out of sort of earshot. So yeah, there's a bit of a bugger, one of those moments where we really need a cameraman or something. So yeah, at least now we know that there's a deer in the head of this creek somewhere. We know it was on this side and it's probably still on this side somewhere. Ideally what I'd like to do is climb up the opposite side usually, so that I could look across and there's slips in there and openings. We'd have a good chance of seeing the deer. But we've got like a northeasterly wind that's blowing straight across here. So that's not really going to work if we get up there. Our wind's just going to blow straight into the deer and it's going to bugger off. Or we could climb up a bit higher and see if we can look down on it. It's not going to be as good a visual, and possibly see it going up this side if it does move up this side later on today. It's definitely a nice looking meat animal. I did get quite a decent look at it as it was walking away. I think it's worth pursuing. It's just noisy as, even in bare feet, walking on this stuff. So we can only hope that the deer hasn't gone up this ridge, because if he's on this ridge, we're buggered. He would have heard us coming a mile off. Hopefully he is around the face further. Heaps of kiki fruit. Not quite ready yet though. Well used deer track coming down here. Okay, so we're up on the ridge above where we saw the stag cross over. And now we're just sussing it out. See if we can hear anything. Keep an eye on all the little openings. Check out the deer tracks going across that slip there. Right, so we've been sitting here for a while, quite a few hours actually, and yeah, haven't seen anything yet, haven't heard anything. Starting to get a bit cold, it's 5 o'clock now, and yeah, the wind's been swirling a bit, so I'm just trying to decide whether it's worth staying here and committing to trying to get this stag that we saw earlier, or whether he's spooked, whether he smelt us. He might have, and he might have buggered off, but he also might be just bedded down below us somewhere, and he might be about to come out, you know, just never know. But I feel like he might have buggered off, so yeah, I think we'll move on, do a bit of a bush stalk to get out of this area, and then we might set up again when we find a nice looking spot to just sit and listen and watch. Ah, sweet, that's about as smooth of a kill as you could hope for. I don't usually do long range shots like that with my rifle. That's sort of about the max of what I'll attempt to shoot a deer at. But yeah, that deer didn't know it hit it. Now we're just going to make our way over to it. It's pretty steep through here. We're just going to have to sidle around. There's some cliffs below us, and our deer's up in here. Man, look at this deer track heading around the side of the hill here. It's probably going to lead us right to that deer too. Holy heck, he's only got 3 legs. Man, that's hard case. I thought he looked a little bit funny when we shot him and he tipped over. I thought there was something weird about the way things looked. There was no hoof up in the air. Oh well, the meat should be tender still. Yeah, he's obviously not doing that well in here because he's still got his winter coat, or half of it. Summer coat's only just coming through there, and it's December, so it should be in full summer coat by now. Seems to be growing a bit of velvet, all right. Hard case. It's a bit hard case skinning around a stump instead of a normal leg. Be quite interesting to know what caused him to lose his leg, whether it was a hunter or being hooked up in something, hooked up in a fence on the edge of a farm, or even hooked up in the bush. It's actually quite surprising. I've shot a couple of three-legged deer, and I've found quite a few dead ones hooked up in branches and things in the bush, so it does actually happen a surprising amount, I think. Actually, it might actually be a deformity. I just realised, because there's a joint there, and that part of the leg bone isn't usually that short. Because yeah, normally the distance between this first joint on the front shoulder and then the next one's quite a way, and then this one here, that bone only goes a little way past that joint, and then there's like a joint here. Just going to bone this deer out. Well, at least quarter it out. I'm not sure if I'm going to take it right off the bone yet, but I'll break it down and we'll hang the legs in the tree for a little bit to let a bit of heat out of them, and then put them in our pack and get out of here before it gets dark. For you guys that are overseas, you probably think this is pretty strange, having Christmas in the heat in summer. But yeah, that's how it is over here. We have a red Christmas, lots of Whakatane flowers. Lots of sunshine, doesn't get dark till, depending on what part of the country you're in, 9 o'clock. Some parts of the country it's 10:30, 11. I meant to do that. Handy tip when you're gutting a deer, if you cut this flat ear away. There's no good steak cuts in there or anything, you can use it for mince, but the back steak's up in there, so you don't want to cut that. But yeah, you cut that away, you can see a lot more in here. You can see easily to go in there with your knife and cut that upper diaphragm wall. The liver looks good as gold, no spots on it. Have a quick look at the glands under the chin too, just to make sure there's nothing weird there, but I think they'll be alright. Sweet, we've got everything cooling down. Man, those are going to be some good steaks. Eye fillets there, man. They look tender already. Just letting everything have a good air out, try and get as much heat out as we can. Take the velvet home, may as well. Might sell it or give it to Kiwi as a Christmas present. Ooh. Another little tip with the back legs, I've just opened them up on the inside of the leg, gone down that seam there between those prime steaks and that quad muscle. Just sort of run my knife around the bone just to help let some of that heat out. That's starting to cool down quite well now. That's probably the deepest part of the leg can stay warm for quite a while. That's usually where you get bone taint if you're going to get it. Still got about 40 minutes before it gets dark, but I'm going to chuck my head torch on now. There's a pretty good chance we won't be out of the bush by the time it does get dark, so at least we got it on our head. We don't have to stop and search through our pack. We just push the button and we're good to go. It's going to be a bit of a lug out of here with all that meat, so we'll get into it. Sweet as, so we're almost out of the bush now. Just did the last sort of 10 minutes in the dark, which is pretty good, down the creek. So yeah, we'll take this venison home, chuck it in the fridge for the next 3 or 4 days, and then we'll cut it up and chuck it on the barbecue. Oh, it should be beauty. So yeah, anyway, thanks heaps for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see more videos like this, we've got some epic ones over on our Patreon, or if you'd like to learn how to do this sort of thing yourself, we've also got a course on there, and we're making it cheaper starting next year. So yeah, it's going to be a bit cheaper to access. So yeah, if you'd like to have a look at that, I'll leave the link in the description of the video. Sweet as, guys. Cheers.